Senator Elizabeth Warren is back with us. And Senator, as you know, the breaking news of the night is that the Washington Post and New York Times are reporting that President Trump basically fired an acting director of national intelligence and replaced him with the current ambassador to Germany because the president was outraged that the director of national intelligence's staff followed the law and the legal requirement to brief the House Intelligence Committee on what Vladimir Putin is doing in the current election campaign. And what was revealed to the Intelligence Committee, big surprise, is that Vladimir Putin is once again working to try to help Donald Trump get reelected as president. Your reaction to the situation and what, if anything, Congress can do about it?
So look, let's start with the basics here. You know, one party in America treats voting as sacred, something that all American citizens should have access to, and that we stand behind whatever that vote reveals. But we want to see everybody vote. For years now, decades now, the other political party, the Republicans, have figured out that by keeping people from voting, by finagling with voting, by having political gerrymandering, they could undercut voting over and over and over. And that really has become pretty much their official position. They think they win if a bunch of people don't vote or don't get their votes counted. And now we watch Russian interference. I sit on Senate Armed Services Committee. Let's face it, this is a national security threat. If Americans come to conclude that the result of an election, any election, is not true, that is, it is not really based on how Americans voted, then that undercuts our democracy. It undercuts our whole notion that we live in a country of majority rule and that we all get together, we vote, and that's what we decide on, that person, and we get behind them. So this really matters. And on Senate Armed Services Committee, we were briefed starting right after the 2016 election about Russian interference. And basically, the Republicans just didn't want to hear it. They just didn't want to hear it, didn't want to do anything. Over and over and over, we have pushed on this to the point of pushing bills that Mitch McConnell refused to bring to the floor, causing many people to call him Moscow Mitch because he's helping Russia by not protecting our voting system. So here's how I see what we can do right now. We can do what we're doing this minute. Keep talking about it, keep raising it, keep putting pressure on Mitch McConnell and the Republicans because they are the ones who are stalling. They are the ones who are trying to keep us from protecting our voting system fully. That's part number one. Part number two is we got to remember there are a lot of good people in government. Yeah, there are these political appointees at the top, and yeah, they got a lot of power, but there are a lot of good people in this government who are trying to keep the systems operating and operating fairly. We need to remember that, and we need to support them in this effort. And the third thing, Democrats got to win in November 2020, and when I say they got to win, they can't win by a little bit. They got to win by a lot because we really got to come over those walls. And then once we get there, we got to clean up our voting system to make sure it is more secure than Fort Knox. We've got to absolutely make sure it is locked down. The way I see it, we want every American citizen to vote and to get that vote counted. That becomes a primary responsibility of government. And you wouldn't be surprised to hear this. I have a plan for that. You'll see it at elizabethwarren.com. Go look up the democracy plan. It's a great one.
Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on the button below for more from The Last Word and the rest of MSNBC.